Welcome back to another episode of GAPCAST. I'm Debbie Foreman. I'm your host. Welcome to my little GAPCAST studio here. And if you're new here, welcome. This is my world, the world of gaps. Gaps that hinder progress. Gaps that cause systemic problems. Gaps in education. Gaps in the workplace. Gaps in community. Gaps in our personal lives. And why did I do this channel? I mean, I just started and we're kind of building up. So, I'd like maybe your help to get more people on board with this. But what do? Part of GAPCAST is reacting to famous people that talk about gaps all the time. Most individuals and most companies, they don't think of gaps as, they know there exist. Education talks about it a lot more, some parts in healthcare. But we talk about the gap in healthcare, the gap in education. There are gaps everywhere. And they really, really hinder progress. I've been doing this for 36 years. And it dawned on me about a year ago as I was watching some YouTube content that there are so many famous people that talk about gaps all the time. And everybody talks about them. Artists, actors, musicians, educators, scientists, politicians, and that's what we're going to do today. And although they talk about the gaps, they don't talk about the systemic solutions, the frameworks to be able to close them, okay? So as we're here in the middle of the US-Iran conflict right now, I was sent a YouTube clip from maybe a week or 10 days ago about J.D. Vance talking about a gap. Now, I haven't seen this clip yet. I'm going to share it and I want to react to it really quickly. I was told that it's within the first minute. It's like a 4.5 minute press conference or something like that. So here we go. I moved it up. Here comes J.D. Vance should be walking in. I kind of timed it. There we go. Let's hear what he has to say here.
Well, good morning, everybody. And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of...
It took him exactly maybe 10 seconds into it, because there was a whole waiting period, to open up with shortcomings. So let's kind of contextualize what we're talking about here. We're talking about two very powerful nations, the United States. Well, Iran, I don't know how powerful Iran is. I know how destructive they are. But we're talking about the United States and Iran being mediated through Pakistan. Just wrap your brain around that for a minute, okay? And the very opening is shortcomings. Well, when there's a shortcoming, you know that something didn't work as it was supposed to.
The Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal.
And there it is, to bridge the gap and get to a deal. When I say everybody talks about gaps all day long, but until I ring the bell of awareness on this, people don't notice it. Now, I'm going to tell you, now start paying attention. You're going to hear the world of gaps. Everybody mentions gaps, the gap here, the gap there, gaps everywhere. Let's replay that. I want to replay exactly what he just said. Let's go back.
And the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal.
To bridge the gap and get to a deal. Now, the first question as an expert in gaps, I say is, can you pinpoint the gap? What is the gap that needs to be bridged? He's talking about a gap, just like, okay, there's a gap. Yeah, I mean, like one nation and another nation didn't come to a deal. What is the framework that they're using to bridge that gap? What are the points what are the gaps or the gap? He's saying one gap. I would imagine there's like a huge master list of everything that was not agreed upon, and that master list is not one gap, because each one in a framework could be negotiated individually, but maybe at the end of it, you don't come to a final agreement. But we don't know what the gap is. He's just saying there is a gap. And that's what happens in organizations, communities, work, personal life. We say the gap without being able to put a pinpoint our fingers to it. Okay?
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians.
They've been at it for 21 hours. 21 hours in a negotiation where the most powerful nations in the world are getting together, and boom, they chugged through in 21 hours, and they weren't able to bridge the gap. There's companies, organizations, communities that spend years and years and years. Look at the educational system, decades trying to bridge gaps without framework.
That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So,
okay, that's his point of view. And as an American, I'm going to say, great, that's really good news. From Brazil, I'm going to say that's great news. I'd rather it be an advantage to the United States than to the other side, because that would put us in a more vulnerable situation. But he is making an affirmation. And one of the big problems in gaps, or the world of gaps, and how you can identify them, is information, affirmation, and confirmation. So the information is the two sides didn't come together. Then J.D. Vance is here affirming that it's better for the United States. How much do you want to bet that the Iranians are affirming that it's better for Iran? There's two sides. And I'm not in favor, personally, I'm 100% in favor of democracy. I'm not in favor of the regime in Iran. But how much do you want to bet that the narrative on the other side is the exact same as his? The information, there's no agreement. The affirmations are going to be the same on both sides. So you're not going to get anywhere. The confirmation, information, affirmation, confirmation, the confirmation will come when we're able to know what those pinpointed, detailed items are. Let's see if he mentions them.
we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on.
What things we're willing to accommodate, what things we're not willing to accommodate. What things are those that are the items of information, affirmation, confirmation? Confirm to us, please, so we can understand how that gap is going to be bridged. Please, JD, come, give me the list.
And we've made that as clear as we possibly could.
To the Iranians, but not to the American people. We're the ones paying the taxes. Give us the list.
And they have chosen not to accept our terms.
What terms?
Questions?
So, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected?
Yes, thank you.
Can you help us understand it a little?
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but CNN is asking, and I'm not a huge fan of CNN, but CNN is asking what exactly did they reject? Information, affirmation, confirmation. Please confirm to us so we understand the gap that needs to be bridged.
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private.
Okay, see, here it goes. They negotiated in private, which is now Iran knows more about what's being negotiated than the American people that are paying the taxes to send them over to negotiate. I believe in democracy. I am hardcore for, maintaining the U.S., but I want you guys to realize the gaps widen when we get these kinds of dialogues. Imagine this is your boss that says, I just came out of a high-stakes meeting. Well, I don't really want to talk about it right now. But we did negotiate. Imagine this is your husband or your wife coming home and, where you been, what have you been doing? Oh, I was really busy, but I don't want to talk about it right now. The details aren't important. Well, there's the gap for you. And then how do you bridge them?
Private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed.
Another way in information, affirmation, confirmation, another way to identify gaps is I know that I know So we know that the nuclear capabilities were destroyed. I know that. You're not giving us any new information. But let me just run you through the four. I know that I know. I know that I don't know. I don't know that I know. And I don't know that I don't know. All right? So, JD, I know that there are capabilities. All right? I know that I don't know. Big gap. I know that I don't know what's on that master list.
But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will. Jen.
Was there a framework on anything? And
I don't know who Jen is. He said Jen, and then he says, was there a framework on anything? Jen, I don't know who you are, but Jen, thank you. Framework. What is the framework? I mean, wouldn't it be great if we could just see the framework that they put down on the negotiation to understand it?
also, did the Iranian frozen assets come up, and did you reach any conclusions on those frozen assets?
She's
talked
asking
all
about frozen
those issues,
assets.
And we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up.
We talked about the issues and other issues and beyond that. All right, you guys, another way. I'm working through a whole bunch of frameworks and gaps here because JD's like stacking them on. Hey, JD, good going. You want some help for me to help you like close these gaps? Come, let's talk, because I think we should structure these frameworks a little bit better. But I said beyond. Guys, I want you to think about an airplane in a cloud. Airplane going to the cloud, okay? Now, when we talk about relation, the United States in relation to Iran, the United States in relation to Iran in the negotiations, the American people in relation to the Iranian people, in relation to, okay, there's a relation. So think about that plane going towards the cloud, okay? The plane can go above it, around it, below it, oops, hit that mic, beyond it, in it, on it, beside it, within it. I'm going to knock this mic off. Within it, so on and so forth. So what is JD using? And it's an ambiguous context, which also creates gaps, okay? He's using the word beyond. We went beyond. Beyond what? Where did that plane go in relation to the cloud? The United States is the plane, Iran is the cloud, and the United States went beyond. Beyond what? That widens the gap.
But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal. We did that. And
how does one measure best effort for a deal?
unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway. Preston.
Mr. Vice President, how often did you communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports that there were multiple rounds, where there were breaks in between negotiations.
I don't know if you guys can hear the question, but the question is, how many times did he speak to President Trump throughout the negotiation phase? I'm not quite sure where this is going to be relevant to the GAP world.
How often did you communicate with the president throughout those rounds, and what was he saying as you were going through these negotiations that you said fell short?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Bessent a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of understanding that is
A simple proposal, a method of understanding. Again, framework is always behind it. If it's simple and there's a method for the proposal, so what is the method? Methodology. What is the method?
that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it. Thank you.
Framework. What is the framework? What is the method? What went beyond communication, proposal? He started with bridging the gap. I'm going to say that there's no way for us as the American people to know what exactly that gap is. We don't know. JD, can you tell us? Come on. Put it out, line it out. Let us send it over to me. Let me framework it for you and see if we can get the United States people to help us use the GAPTrax frameworks, methodologies to be able to help you reach that proposal. President Trump, I'm here. I'd be happy to help. United States of America, we are free. We're free to be able to speak our mind. We're free to be able to do these types of reactions to our politicians. I hope the United States is successful in these final negotiations. Regardless of that, we can see where gaps arise from, whether it's in our politics, whether it's in our communities, whether it's in our families, our personal selves, or our jobs. So this is a little bit of a light that I hope I was able to shine on framework, process, methodology, language, communication. And if you want to know more, we're going to add 2 links up there. I believe we're adding 2 links. I'm going to ask our editors to do that. One is for our ebook, download it. It's a quick read just to kind of shed a light on the world of gaps, a couple of fun dynamics for you to do inside of that. And then the other is access to GAPTrax, which is a very quick online course, only $90, and it can change your life to be able to use the tools that I was just talking about here. All right. Thank you for being with me. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Debbie Foreman, and I'm out of here.